Hi, Mum. I had seen that people had had mastectomy parties and going flat parties and that sort of thing, and I got really excited about it.
It is about being able to take control in a situation that is largely out of control. It is about being empowered and about being able to feel a sense of agency and take some ownership.
Going flat isn't the decision you make when you've got no other options. It's an equally valid decision, an option to choose after a mastectomy.
That's a way of turning something that doesn't sound like a fun time to something that is a celebration. It just feels like, yeah, why not? A good opportunity to bring friends together, have a laugh, and just also rewrite the story. Like, it doesn't have to be another thing that cancer's taken from me. It doesn't feel like that at all. It feels like a real welcoming of like empowerment and choice and taking control.
Ready? 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye, boobies!
I discovered I had breast cancer in 2023. I was breastfeeding at the time and I felt a lump. But I had felt that lump for a while and assumed that it was a blocked milk duct. And then at some point I realised that it's not going away and that it was quite large.
Lauren eventually went to her GP, who referred her for a mammogram and ultrasound.
And a doctor came in and spoke to me and he said, "We've found something." And I remember hearing the word tumour. And I still wasn't clicking on that, like, that this could be something. I was still like, okay, yeah. I just did not think that there was any problem.
One of the reasons Lauren felt so confident was because she knew she didn't carry the BRCA2 gene mutation, which increases a person's risk of cancer. Ironically, her mother and all her siblings do.
In 2001, it was recommended for me to do genetic counselling, which was relatively new at the time, because of so many family members, my mum included, having breast cancer and dying from breast cancer. And it turned out we've got the BRCA2 gene in our family, and I've passed it on to 3 of my 4 children. Melissa has the gene. Our next daughter down, Kylie, has the gene, and Jace, our youngest son, has the gene, but Lauren doesn't carry the breast cancer gene.
I remember Lauren saying that she felt guilty being the only one in the family that didn't have that gene. And then I remember her saying to me, she thought she had a blocked milk duct. It hasn't gone away, I should probably go and get it checked. And I remember saying, well, it's not breast cancer. So, yeah, that felt pretty bad. That felt pretty bad.
But that lump was a tumour, and Lauren did have cancer. And because the tumour was so big, her doctor advised her to have a mastectomy straight away.
The really early stages, when I guess we didn't know the extent, I just had to be really strong for Lauren and always tell her that it was going to be fine, because I just wanted to be, I guess, a rock for her. Pretty scary at first when we went in to see Dr. Eaton at the start, and in your mind you're sort of playing out the worst case scenarios and looking at your 2 little kids and just thinking, like, are they going to grow up without their mum? And yeah.
Lauren had her left breast removed in May 2023. After that surgery, she still needed chemotherapy and radiotherapy.
I just remember how I felt in those early days. My first appointment with the oncologist, he said, even though they had removed the breast and there was no tumour left, and the lymph nodes had taken that, so there was no cancer left in my body, he said, if you don't do any further treatment, you've got a 6% chance of surviving the next 5 to 10 years. And That was the hardest moment of the whole thing. And I remember leaving the appointment and saying to myself, you've got to become okay with the thought of dying early and saying goodbye to your girls. Then this is the last breastfeed before going in for chemo. So I couldn't breastfeed after chemo had started. So that was having the very final breastfeed with Luna.
That was when you got your haircut?
That's when I got my haircut, when my hair started falling out, which got donated. There's my shaved head.
It wasn't a fun time.
No. And this is the very last day of radiotherapy. And I remember half smiling for the photo, but really I felt like a shell of myself.
Lauren's mum and sister chose to remove their breasts to reduce the risk of cancer, and both chose to have a reconstruction.
For me, I even chose the same size as what I was before the operation. I wanted it as normal for me as possible. And so much so that I kept my own nipples, because that was, you know, that's me. And my surgeon was quite supportive of that. But there is that new way of thinking, I think, that it's completely okay not to have implants. That's not what makes you a woman. And I think there's that shift in thinking and in the societal views. Well, let's hope that this is the start of, you know, our breasts don't determine us. We're more than breasts. Our life is far more important. Lauren is just so amazing with the strength of her treatment and her decisions.
What are you doing?
Even with her left breast removed, Lauren's fear of recurrence persisted.
With my remaining breast, I find myself feeling for lumps a lot, and it feels really lumpy. It feels like there's a ticking time bomb there.
She was told she had a 40% chance of the cancer returning.
That's too high. Yeah, I'm not out of the woods yet. And it did make me think the other breast has got to come off at some point. I realised that if I want a reconstruction, massive surgery, there might be more surgeries down the track. I just realised, well, I think I don't want to reconstruct. I don't like those options. And do I have to? And at some point someone said, you could choose to go flat. And that was the first time I heard that term, go flat. It was a bit of a light bulb moment. I started Googling and finding online communities. I found one, like an Australian group of women who've also decided to go flat after breast cancer. And it was really powerful finding other communities of women, because it just made me go, this is where I fit in. And these are the other people who have made a similar choice. And it was very comforting to know that I wouldn't be alone if I was to make this decision, even though I know that this is the decision that's right for me.
My name is Aarti. I'm 45 years old and I've been unilaterally flat since my surgery for invasive breast cancer in July 2024. I knew if I was to have a reconstruction, there would be a high chance I'd need more surgeries, which was definitely a factor in deciding to stay flat.
I am a flattie, as you can see. I absolutely love living in an unbreasted body, despite what many people might think.
It was important to me at the time to show my kids, I have 6 children, 5 of them are girls, to show them that beauty comes from within. And now they look at me and think that I'm their warrior, so that makes me pretty happy.
So Lauren has decided to remove her remaining breast, to not reconstruct, and to embrace being flat.
Hi, Lauren.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Good. So I had no concerns about her ability to deal with what she was facing. And what she was facing was a threat to her life, a threat to her family, and she's been really strong and really impressive. And really, the reconstruction question's been secondary to her family and her life.
So
no lumps in that armpit area, and I can't feel any above your collarbone there.
Yeah.
And that scar's done well.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to check that lymph node up in the armpit here.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's not much there to feel either. So you're all set for Tuesday?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready.
Good.
She's finding strength in her decision.
So is it feeling a bit different this time, do you think?
It is.
It is?
Yeah. I'm in control of this one.
Yeah.
And
It's your choice.
yeah. And last time there was just so much unknown ahead still.
Yeah.
Whereas now I feel really confident and I feel like this is just another step towards good health.
One of the Facebook groups Lauren came across was Flat Life Australia, co-founded by Robyn Smith.
About 6 years ago, I had a risk-reducing mastectomy because I have a BRCA2 gene mutation and we have lots of cancer in our family. So I chose to remove my breasts and initially I reconstructed with breast implants. I was pretty happy with the outcome of my reconstruction. It did what it was supposed to do. It gave me 2 mounds on my chest that looked like breasts. But I couldn't feel them and they were a little bit cold to me sometimes and a bit hard and they were under my muscles, so it took a little while to get used to the way my muscles moved again with implants underneath them, and it wasn't something I guess I enjoyed from a sexual perspective. I felt a little bit like I had had a reconstruction and everyone else could see these breast implants that I couldn't feel. And I kind of felt a little bit like they were for everyone else, so that when people looked at me, they would feel okay because I looked like a lot of the other people in the population that have breasts. So I wasn't very attached to them because they never really felt like they were part of me.
Robyn was also plagued with several health issues after getting her implants.
I had brain fog, I had memory loss, I had numbness and tingling in my hands and forearms, my hair was falling out and I was really, really fatigued. And I kind of kept going back to my surgeon and GP saying, what's going on? Test my blood, what's going on? Why is this happening? And I did come across a lot of information about something called breast implant illness, which there seemed to be quite a lot of women over the world who were experiencing lots of different symptoms after getting breast implants.
It was at this point that Robyn decided to remove her implants, a procedure known as explanting.
About 2 weeks after I had explanted, a lot of my symptoms started to kind of just pull back. The numbness and tingling in my hands and forearms basically stopped. And my brain fog kind of lifted and my energy came back and my autoimmune marker actually came back down, which was awesome to see in blood tests. It's not just about what I was feeling, but the blood test showed that there was a change.
She soon discovered the joy of being flat.
Getting used to a flat body was so much easier than having the implants in. I got back to running and riding way quicker than I did with the implant in. And do you know what the best thing is? I can give and feel hugs again. When I had the implants in, I couldn't feel the hugs so much because there was something in between me and the person I was hugging.
Psychologist Dr. Charlotte Totman specialises in treating patients with cancer-related distress. When she was diagnosed with breast cancer, she also decided to stay flat.
I am a decisive person, I always have been. I'm a swimmer, so I have a broad back, but I had tiny weeny breasts. They were very nice breasts, and I really do miss them. But I knew that my wardrobe, my self-image, the way that I carried my body, the activities that I undertake, would be really well suited to going flat. I also know from my work that reconstructive surgery can be incredibly good and the outcome's extraordinary, but it's big surgery. It comes with significant risk. It is often more than one surgery and it takes substantial time out of your life in terms of time, recovery. I don't have a job that accommodates that sort of thing well, and I wasn't willing to, explore those risks. I'm a really authentic person. So the idea of having something artificial was like not ever going to sit well with me. But the other thing, and this is very intimate, in the nights after diagnosis, my husband Robyn is wonderful. We had a couple of big conversations about the meaning of breasts. It sounds a bit odd, but for a lot of people, depending on their age and stage of life, their breasts have different meaning. From the point of view of a body part or my femininity, it was never my breasts, it was probably my legs. So if someone had said, like, let's cut off your legs, that might have been a bit tricky. But I was 54, I had 4 children, my breasts had done their breastfeeding work. We had a mature, well-established relationship. I wasn't out trying to begin something where I might have been concerned about my body image. But probably the most important thing that we identified was that my breasts were a very important part of our intimacy. They were a very important part of foreplay, and that when you have reconstructed breasts, you don't have the same sensation. And so the idea that I would reconstruct something that wouldn't give me sensation, again, just didn't make any sense. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the decision that other people make, but for us, it was like, well, we're going to lose that, so let's not try and pretend that we can get it back. I wish we lived in a world where this wasn't the case, but I have clients whose partners do not desire them as much or at all afterwards, because whether they knew it or not, part of their intimacy was about their previous version of the female form. That, of course, is another type of grief and loss, and it's a very tricky space to navigate because there aren't too many blokes who will actually admit that to their partner. I'm as adjusted as a person could be after 6.5 years, but, I really still do miss my breast. But when I look at my body in the mirror, as I do every day, I'm like, yeah, no, not too shabby. One of the very common barriers to adjustment and acceptance after mastectomy is avoidance. In the body image space, in the acceptance and adjustment space, it can be a barrier to making progress there. So the exercise that I gave myself and that I recommend to my clients is to stand in front of a mirror every morning and just really actually look at your scar for 5 seconds. Now, 5 seconds doesn't sound like a very long time, but if you're standing there with nothing else to do and looking at your scar, it's a fairly long time. And then to also encourage people to use things like touch to become familiar with the contours, the new feeling. And then the third one, which is to be brave enough to take the emotional risk to let somebody else see you, whether it's your partner or your children or your friend. They're all steps in people coming to grips with the new them, the new version.
Good luck for Tuesday. Thank you.
Lauren held her bye-bye booby party 3 days before surgery.
Is it considered serious,
like a big operation?
Yeah.
No. This is like the least.
It's considered like minor.
Well, I wouldn't say minor, but like the reconstruction. If I had a reconstruction, it would be much bigger.
It's not like you're having heart surgery,
like,
but
no.
It's not like you're having like a thing cut out of your leg.
True. Yeah.
It's like medium.
Medium. Let's call it medium. I've changed a lot. I started learning about all the things that can reduce your risk of recurrence. With all those changes, I felt more and more in control and confident about my future. I started meditating regularly just over a year ago, but it's become more of a consistent daily practice. I've realised now that the mental side of things is just as important, if not more important, than what I eat or what exercise I do. My body needs to know that I'm not in a state of stress and that I'm safe, and that, I think stress hormones make a really big difference to how your body heals and your immune system. And so, yeah, meditation is just one of the things I do to look after my mental health.
The day of surgery has arrived. Lauren will be saying goodbye to her second breast.
I'm kind of excited now to have a flat chest. I think I've started to identify with it now because I've known that that's what's on the cards, and it feels, I don't know, it feels empowering. And I've seen other women who've got mastectomy scars and they've got tattoos across their chest as a way of, like, I guess owning their scars and taking control back.
It was pretty cute when Harper came and said bye-bye to the boobie.
She did. That was very cute. They both did.
Yeah. How'd you feel saying goodbye to the girls?
I felt good, and I'm glad that they were happy. Like, it didn't feel serious, which maybe it's just because we're feeling good about it.
Right.
Yeah. Hi, Lauren.
Lauren, to be admitted?
Yeah.
Okay, my name's Kelly.
Hi.
I'm going to go through some paperwork with you today and then we'll take you upstairs.
Sure.
So first of all, Lauren, just check your wristband just to make sure it's all correct.
Yeah. Yep, that's
All right,
correct.
I'm going to put this on your left arm.
Yeah. I think in the very, very early days, I said, how do you feel about me going flat? And I think it did take him a little second to be like, oh, okay, that's going to take some getting used to. But right from the get-go, he's been completely just on board with whatever we need to do to increase my chance of survival. And he's seen what I've gone through, and he's seen, me lose the first breast. He's seen, he's seen the whole thing. And he just wants me here. He doesn't really care, He doesn't care what I look like. I feel so loved and supported, yeah.
All right, Lauren, they're all ready for you, so I'll take you down to theatre.
Right.
Lucky. Love you.
Love you too. See you soon.
Get you to pop this one on your head if
Yeah.
that's all right.
Sure.
Looking good.
Thank you. All right, follow me around this way.
It does become really clear what's important and what's not, and I think that's what's helped me make this decision as well. I know what's important, and it's my health and my girls and Brent and my family and my friends, and being here for as long as possible. And the breasts aren't really a factor in that. They don't need to be there for me to have good health.
There's now a growing number of women like Lauren identifying as flatties. Robyn and 2 others have joined forces with Fiona Crawford-Williams to conduct a national study of women's experiences going flat after mastectomy.
It's definitely becoming more of a movement, so it's quite big in the US and we're slowly sort of adopting it here in Australia. I think we've just had such a focus on breast reconstruction being the optimal care after a mastectomy that it's only in recent years that really this idea of going flat and being proud to live flat-chested has come about. It's sort of a relatively unexplored research area so far. We surveyed 460 women across Australia. I think a lot of the women that we spoke to felt that it was societal pressure that was pushing them towards a breast reconstruction option. Less than 40% of the women in our study actually were informed about flat closure as an option after the mastectomy. So that's a high number of people who are sort of only being told about breast reconstruction options.
The choice to go flat requires clear communication with their breast surgeon and sometimes plastic surgeon, as there may be more than one surgery required. What's most important is that each woman has enough information to decide on the best outcome for herself.
It is about being empowered and about being able to feel a sense of agency and take some ownership. And decision-making about mastectomy, flat, recon is all a very big part of that.
I'd love just for all women every year who are facing these decisions about what to do after a mastectomy, I'd just love for them to have the same amount of information for flat as there is for reconstructing or for, you know, about mastectomy. Every day when I get up and I look in the mirror after a shower, those scars to me often remind me of my mum and inherited cancer risk in my family. And I look at that every day, and it's taken some time to turn that into a positive thing, to go, here I am with my family, and I'm really lucky to be here, even though I have these scars, these battle scars that show what I've been through to be here.
It's the morning after surgery. The doctor's come to see me already, and he said that everything went really well. I'm quite comfortable, and I've already looked down at my chest. I did that almost straight away after surgery. It wasn't confronting at all. It looked quite good. I really liked seeing the two sides match. And yeah, I'm not in too much pain. I feel good. First time checking myself out in a t-shirt. It's a little bit strange to see a flat chest, but I think it's gonna be easy to get used to. I feel excited about also being an advocate for, you know, having to make decisions and your body changing and just accepting that, like, it's not gonna define you. And I've seen people walk down a catwalk, you know, and be proud of their flat chest and then take their top off at the end and that sort of thing. And that's way outside my comfort zone, but if anyone ever invited me to, you know, walk down a catwalk, I would probably say yes, just because what an opportunity to show people that you don't have to look a certain way to feel good about yourself and your decisions.